As part of Fallout 4's 10th year anniversary, Bethesda released the Creations Bundle, which is a collection of over 150 items, all bundled together in a single package. And in this guide, I am going to try to do my best to go through every single one. Hi, I'm Mo, and I'm trapped in Fallout. As you can imagine, it's going to take a fair amount of time to go through all 150 items, and to help I have divided this guide into the following sections: weapons and armor paints, settlement props, player homes, dog and dog meat skins, weapons, armors, power armor and clothing, and any new stuff that hasn't been seen before, as well as an others category, something that I wasn't able to fit into any other category. And with that, let's take a look at the first category, weapons and armor paints. The first one we are going to look at is your ability to modify your jumpsuit, which is called the Vault Suit Customization. When doing so, you will have the option to modify the visible number on your jumpsuit. So I have checked, this does go all the way up to 999, which is a fair amount, but you can basically pick any number, including any one of your favorite vaults, and then you can also change the color of your jumpsuit. So there's a fair few options here, you can go with whatever you really like. Next, we are going to look at the armor paints collections. So there are a fair few of these, but they mainly apply to all sorts of armor, such as leather, combat, etc. So when you go and select an armor, when you select paint, in here you will have a number of different options that you can select from. You also have the same paints applied to your PipBoy. So when you select PipBoy and select standard, from here you can apply a plethora of different paints directly to your PipBoy. You can also apply skins or paints to your weapons as well. So for instance, if I select my combat shotgun, if you go all the way down to the materials section, from here you can apply a number of different materials to your weapon. And lastly, for this section, you also have the ability to apply a number of different paints to your power armor, which also carries its own bonuses and benefits. For instance, if I look at this tan paint, if I have everything selected to the tan paint, then this will increase my perception and so on. Now we will start to look at all the settlement props, starting with the Arcade Workshop pack. So if you're not sure, when you have these workshop based packs installed, some of which you will need to activate quest for, but we'll go through them one by one. Others will be activated from pretty much day one, the moment you install them. The first one being the Arcade Workshop pack. In this pack, you will find a number of things, including cabinets, lighting for, let's just say, a retro arcade workshop like area, or posters, furnitures, and flooring as well. Next, we are going to take a look at the Home Decor Workshop pack. Again, similar to the Arcade Workshop pack, you will have access to more furniture, particularly beds, posters, shelves, and plants. Again, this is another really good pack if you're interested in, let's just say, making your home look a little bit more modern-ish. Whilst we are talking about a modern look, you will also get access to the Modern Furniture Workshop pack, which, as you've guessed it, has a number of different furnitures, lighting, and wall-based objects, all that resemble, let's just say, a much more modern look to the traditional household. You will also get access to this Nuka-Cola Collector's Workshop pack, which you've probably guessed has a number of furnitures all associated with Nuka-Cola, such as these chairs or sofas or wall curtains and so on. Next, let's start taking a look at the Settlement Ambush Kit, which is again another pack that should be available to you the moment you install it. This is designed more from a settlement building point of view, specifically to add defenses to your settlement. So within this pack, you can set up additional defense types, furnitures, walls, and decorations. One of the more particularly interesting aspect of it is that you can set up these CCTV or security cameras and then use these monitors to actually check out your settlement. So let me show you that in action. So right here, I'm able to select my settlement where the CCTVs are. So if I say yep, let's select the CCTV, then I am able to use the CCTV to basically look at the settlements, which does add quite a nice touch. For the next workshop, titled Coffee and Donuts Workshop Pack, you will need to travel to Slocum's Joe Corporate HQ, which is directly northeast of Covenant. Once you make it here, you will need to go to the floor above and then enter the office. So from here, just use the stairs to go up. So this is one of those few packs that will unlock only after you've done something very specific. So go into the office, and once inside, just look straight to your right. And over here, you should find some unique clothes for the DLC pack. But the bit we're interested here is Slocum Joe's franchise kit. Once you grab this magazine, from here on out, you should be able to access all of the particularly items available to this workshop. So let's have a look at that. So as said, after grabbing the magazine, you should then have access to Slocum Joe's pack over here, which allows you to build these machines, that allows you to generate donuts and any sort of furniture associated with what you would find in, say, a classic donut shop. Something more interesting is when you do have the ability to craft your own donuts, you could actually make these donuts that then also provide some additional bonuses. In particular, if you look for something like charisma and intelligence, there aren't that many food objects around, particularly for charisma, that can help increase your charisma. So this is actually a rather good addition to have if you want to increase your charisma via any edible items. And for the last workshop pack, titled Holiday Workshop Pack, you will need to travel to Fallon's department store, which is far west of University Point. So once you make it to Fallon's department store, just follow this path here. So you want to be heading about northwest-ish. And if you just go around over here, you should see what seems to be sort of like an open garage. So just around the corner from here. And in here you will find an NPC, and there should be a dog around here dressed as a reindeer. They will both be hostile, but the bit we are looking for is this shipment of decorations and Picket Fence's holiday special. This will now allow you to build some special holiday Christmassy themed objects, and you will also get access to some pretty nice Santa based outfits. When trying to access these holiday themed objects, you need to go into Creation Club, and from here go into Holiday, and when in Holiday, from here you should be able to select all these really nice actually Christmas themed objects to decorate your settlements. And hey, if you made this far into the guide, then please consider liking this guide, as that would really help the channel out. This particular one took me a really long time to make, a lot longer than I thought it would take. So liking the video, leaving a comment will actually really help out. As you can see, there are a fair few items in this guide. So use the comment section of this guide to let me know what your personal favorites are. Mine has to be the backpack. It just fits in so well with the lore, and the Sentinel armor as well, because it provides that really nice extra backup firepower, especially when you need it. Now we are going to start taking a look at all the player homes that have been added as part of the Creations bundle, starting with our first one called Neon Flats, which if you want to access, you will need to go to Good Neighbor. Once you're in Good Neighbor, just go in front of the memory den, and directly opposite it should be the entrance to Neon Flats lobby. Once inside, you will start this quest called the Neon Winter, and from here you will need to open this door, and then this door right over here, and then you will need to read this terminal, and then that will set you off on a quest that you will need to complete. After completing that quest, you will be rewarded with the flat itself. Once you eventually gain access to the Neon Flat, you will find it's a rather, as the name suggests, very neon-y inspired. It is a rather nice place, to be honest, and alongside with this pack you should also get access to what I read to be about 30 additional props that otherwise aren't available to you. For the next player home, called Noir Penthouse, you need to travel the Commonwealth, and at some point you will hear a strange signal being emitted from your radio. This strange signal should be picked up by your radio the moment you install the DLC. Now there is a bug around it. The strange signal may not appear right away. You might have to walk around, and when it does appear, you should listen to it almost immediately, because if you don't and it disappears, then it may not happen again. So when you do eventually get the signal, make sure you listen to it. That will send you on again another quest, and eventually it will lend you to come here, the Noir Penthouse, which is directly south of Good Neighbor. Now once you make it here, you actually need to enter the Hub 360. Once you're inside, just stay on the north side and use these stairs to go to the top, and as you do that, This elevator, which was previously locked, should now be unlocked, and with that you should gain access to the Noir Penthouse. So similar to the Neon Flats, this is again a very luxurious place, much more, I would say, atoned to what Fallout 4 perhaps would have looked like if things didn't go south all the way back when the bombs fell. But it is certainly a luxurious place and a really nice place to call your home, given that it is almost in the center of the map. For the next player home, titled Shroud Manor, you will need to visit the police precinct number 8, and when inside, a terminal that you will need to read. Upon doing so, will activate the Shroud Manor quest, and at the very end you will gain access to the Shroud Manor, which is right over here, far northwest of the police precinct 8. So again, once you've made it, go inside, and once inside you will notice that this entire place is very much referenced by the Silver Shroud themed character within Fallout 4. So as you make your way towards the floors above and you just have a look, you will see is again a very nice and luxurious place to hang out. And for the last player home, which is the Charlestown Condo, the moment you install the DLC, this should activate a quest automatically for you called A Place to Call Home. Upon completing that quest, it will eventually lead you to Charlestown Condo, which is actually directly east of Bunker Hill. Again, once you make it, go inside, and once inside, if you have a look, this particular place is divided between, I think, 3 levels. So at the bottom appears to be what resembles a diner, and then if you use the stairs, which are just over here, and travel to this first floor, over here appears to be just an empty warehouse like place. But then if you go to the top, I think that's where you have more of a player home like area. So you've got your living room, you've got a terminal, perhaps an office over here, and so on. Now we are going to take a look at all the different dogs that you can recruit for your settlements, as well as all the different skills you can apply to dog meat, so that you can effectively take one of these dogs with you as a companion, starting with our first dog called Boxer, which can be found just directly southeast of Fiddler's Green. So Fiddler's Green is just over there, and to show you a little bit more of where Boxer is, he should be right over here, just southeast, right next to this blue vehicle. Now, something that's universally going to apply to every single dog that we're about to go through, you don't need to, thankfully, take part in any quest to recruit these dogs. They are literally just wandering around in very specific points all dotted across the map, and the moment you recruit one of them, you will recruit them any settlement of your choice, and the moment you do that, the defense of that settlement will also increase by a short amount. So now let's go through all the other remaining dogs. There are a fair few to go through. You will be able to recruit a chocolate Labrador retriever, which is directly southeast of Coastal Cottage, about here. So if I show you where Coastal Cottage is, it should be right over there on the horizon. I hope you can see that. But from there, you would go down the hill this way, and then you would travel southeast into this picnic-like area located on the beach. And within this area should be the chocolate Labrador retriever. Next, we are going to look at the Golden Retriever, which is directly north of Vault 111. So you should be able to make it out, but that's sort of the area you land in after you exit the vault. From there, or the billboard more specifically, if you just travel directly north, you should see the Golden Retriever right here. So there's the Retriever and there's the board right there for your reference. Next, we are going to locate the yellow Labrador Retriever, which is directly east of the South Boston High School, or far west of the castle. So the South Boston School is around here somewhere. You want to sort of head to the church over here, or this red truck, and the yellow Labrador Retriever should be walking around or circling just in front of the church right over here. Next, we are going to recruit a Dalmatian, which should be south of Monsignor Plaza. So Monsignor Plaza is right over there, and if you go south, on the dock should be the Dalmatian right over here. For our next one, we will need to go to the Wildwood Cemetery to recruit a Shiba Inu. So when you make it to the cemetery, look for the white and blue broken down vehicles, and right next to them should be a ruined house, and inside should be the Shiba Inu. Next, we are going to travel just west of the WRVR broadcast station to recruit a Rottweiler. Given that that's the station over there, from here, if you just head west up this small hill, the Rottweiler should be right here, again next to this picnic area. We are going to travel to Big John's Salvage, and from here we're going to travel slightly east to find ourselves a Pitbull. So there is John's Salvage right over there. So if you travel directly east from here, under this structure here for Red Rocket should be your Pitbull just walking around right over here. Next, we are going to go to Shroud Manor, and from here we're going to travel roughly southwest until we see a Husky. So there is Shroud Manor right over there on top of the hill, and from here if you travel roughly southwest, inside again another ruined house, you should find yourself a Husky. Now this one can be a little bit difficult to find because it isn't really next to a location like the others. It's right here in the middle of a couple, but from MedTech Research, travel roughly southeast and eventually you will find a Great Dane. Now it is going to be a bit difficult to see, but that over there is MedTech Research, and from here again if you travel roughly southeast you should see again another ruined building, and inside that building should be the Great Dane. For our next one, we will need to travel directly west of Grey Garden to find ourselves a Border Collie. So given that is Grey Garden right over there, from here if you travel south into this ruined building and go through this fence, in here you should find your Border Collie. And to find the Black Labrador Retriever, you need to travel roughly south of Easy City Downs. Given that over there is Easy City Downs, from here travel roughly south towards the water and you should see two parked vehicles, and in between these two vehicles should be the Black Labrador Retriever. As part of the creation bundle and to carry on our theme of dog meat and the different dogs that are available, you can also create or craft two unique collars for dog meat that you can only apply to dog meat. The first is the TransDOGrifier Mark 1 and Mark 2. Mark 1 will allow you to change dog meat's actual appearance, and Mark 2 will allow you to change his breed. You cannot apply both of them at the same time, so it's one or the other. So you can use a chem station to make both of these collars. Once you've used the chemistry station to make one of each, if you go into the armor workbench, and let's focus our efforts on the Mark 1 to begin with, you can change the fur style of dog meat. So let's go with white. And if we go back and now look at the Mark 2, this can be used to change the breed. Now this list of dogs is totally dependent on all the dogs that you've rescued. Now I believe if you didn't rescue any dogs, you have the top 4 available to you by default, but as you start to unlock more of these dogs in the Commonwealth, then you will be able to apply them to dog meat. So if you look at this list, we've basically gone through every single one with the exception of one, Cyberdog. And I will talk about Cyberdog a little bit later in the guide. But for now, let's apply Cyberdog as the breed for this Mark II collar, and let's go and apply them to dog meat. Once you find dog meat, select the trade option. And as said, you can't apply both at the same time, it's one or the other, but you can give him both if you want to. So I'll give him both to begin with, and I will select this white fur, so I will equip it on him. And the moment I do that, dog meat will disappear for a moment, reappear, and this will then change his look. You can now do the same thing and apply the breed instead. So if you go back into the trade option and simply unequip the first one and equip the second one, and this will now change his breed to be of that type. Now let's take a look at the weapons that you will get as part of the creation bundle, starting with by speaking to Arturo, where you should be able to purchase the handmade shotgun and the prototype Gauss rifle. So when speaking to Arturo, if you go to the barter section and then go to weapons, if you have a look down this list, you should be able to find handmade shotgun, and he has a legendary variant of it. Chances are he may also have a non-legendary variant of it, and you might be lucky enough to also have a prototype Gauss rifle as well, such as this one. You could also visit Cleo in Good Neighbor, who is also likely to have both types of these weapons. For our next weapon, we are going to grab the CR74L combat rifle, which is found in an unmarked location. To get this weapon, you can travel northeast from Red Rocket Truck Stop or you can travel directly south from the robotics disposal ground. Whichever location you travel from, once you see this old remnants of what seems to be a chimney, on the west side of this chimney you should find a NPC fallen here, and if you just look to their right you should see the CR74L. For our next weapon, we are going to grab the Manwell Rifle, which can be found in an unmarked location, but to get the rifle you need to start a quest which is found directly southwest of the outpost Zimonja. So from this outpost, which is around there, chances you recognize this building here, you need to go into this ruined, destroyed building, and as you do that you should find a note right here that will start a quest called the Quantum Stag. From here, you'll need to travel just directly north of it, and as you do that, you should encounter an NPC, and the first weapon you will get is the Manwell Carbine. So this is actually one of those particular weapons. Search the Stag Hunter, and on them you will need to get the Quantum, and from here you will now need to follow this trail of quantum, let's just call them fluids, and as you follow that, at the very end you will find an NPC that will have the Manwell rifle on them. So I'll just skip to that bit right now. And once you make it to the location, if you search the hunter, on them you will find the hunter's Manwell rifle. Now from this point you can carry on the quest and you will be led to a stag to take out, or, well, I won't spoil it, there are a couple of things you can do, but feel free to complete this quest. But as far as the weapons are concerned, you now have both of the unique weapons from this particular quest line. We are now going to get the solar cannon, which again, similar to other weapons on this list, can only be obtained after you complete a short quest. And to start this quest, we are going to go to the South Boston military checkpoint. Once you make it to the location, you need to go into this trailer, and as you do that, you should see an NPC, and on them should be Sarge's clue number 1. You will need to read the clue. After reading the clue, you will now be tasked to go to a nearby Red Rocket truck stop, which thankfully isn't too far from the current location. So I'm just going to go there. You will need to head roughly northwest to actually get to that location. So it's right over there. Now when you do get there, there's a rather, let's just call it a puzzle that you would need to complete, but I will show you the shortcut to it. What you can do instead is just go to this bell over here and just ring this 4 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And once you've done that, you should now be able to activate the circuit board, and then you should be able to open the safe and get the second clue. Again, another one that you need to read. Once you read this, this will now take you to another house that is directly east of here, which appears to be a ruined house. So as we do that really quickly, you should find, I think, Sarge's body right over here, but we don't really need to query the body as such. What we will need to do is go to this doghouse, and in here should be a doghouse safe, and this will ask you to open using a combination, and you can use a combination if you don't have this particular bit here. So the code to this is 536, and with that you should unlock the safe and read the third and final clue. So again, let's just do that right now. And once you've read this clue, this will now take you to a slight short underpass that isn't again too far from here. So if we just follow the quest marker, this will take us to Acid, sort of like an underpass with a vehicle. Now there will be an NPC right next to that vehicle as well that you will need to take out. They probably won't make it easy for you, but once you make it to this vehicle, you will again be able to enter a code here, and the code for this is 1 2 11 12, and that should unlock the safe. And then if you go inside, you should find the solar cannon right inside. Next, we are going to collect the Zetan Arsenal weapons, which consists of the alien atomizer, disintegrator, and the shock baton. And you will need to go to this unmarked location, which is directly southwest of the ArcJet system. So if I show you, there is ArcJet system right over there. You will need to follow the road until you get to this bridge over here, and then you will need to inspect this farmer and read the farmer's note. After you read the farmer's note, you will need to inspect the Brahmin and get them as keepsake. And from here, you will now need to travel directly west up until the point where you will actually encounter a handful of aliens, and on them will be the weapons. So I will see you in just a moment. So as you approach the area, you will see an alien ship trying to adopt one of our fellow Brahmins, and you will see 2 aliens that you will need to take out. So if I just take them out really quickly, then if you then search them, you will find the relevant weapons. So on this one, you will find the alien disintegrator. If you then search the other one, you will find the alien atomizer. And then if you search one of the Brahmins close by, on them should be the alien shock pattern, giving you the total sum of all 3 weapons. And you can also activate this quest marker over here to complete the quest. For our next weapon, we are going to get the Doom BFG, which can be found in the cave in the glowing sea area. Now, usually you are supposed to start a quest, but we can take a bit of a shortcut and directly travel to the cave, and from there we will find an NPC that we will need to take out. So when you travel to the cave, from there you will actually need to travel roughly northwest to this unmarked location, which is simply a sunken red rocket. And on top of this should be an NPC. Now, this particular person will be a no joke, no nonsense sort of guy. He won't be easily taken out, but I have some leverage on my side using console commands, so I'll be able to take them out relatively more easily. And once you've done that, if you then search them, you should find the BFG 9000. For our next weapon, we are going to grab the Anti-Materiel Rifle, and to get this weapon, sadly similar to the BFG, there is no shortcut. You'll have to complete a quest, and to start this quest you will need to travel to the Museum of Witchcraft. Once inside, you will need to make it to the same floor where you encountered the Deathclaw, and from here in this broken display case you should find Mo's story. This is obviously not me, but grab the note. And with that done, this will now take you to the Dugout Inn in Diamond City. So let's go there. When you make it to the Dugout Inn in Diamond City, if you look at this wanted poster or wanted board, you should find the next note on here, which should be this one here. And with this will now ask you to go and find someone called Zane in Concord. So our next stop will be in Concord. Once you get to Concord, you will need to enter a building. So for reference, there is the museum right over there where you encounter Preston for the first time. You want to head directly west-ish, so down this street here. And as you go down this street, you want to enter this building over here. Once inside, just look to your left and there should be another note here called Zane's Associates. And with this, you will now have a number of markers on your quest. And with this, you will now have a number of markers on the map, and there's one particular one that we'll need to go and visit to get our hands on the Anti-Materiel Rifle. The quest marker you want to go to is the one that is directly south of the Monsignor Plaza or just directly east of Green Tech Genetics. And once you make it to the location, this NPC is usually located over there next to what I think is the water tower, and you can get there relatively quite easily. So if you just follow this path, and around here there should be a set of stairs that you can go up, and then use these scaffolding to get across, and then get to the top of the building, and then the NPC should be over here, not too far from here. And simply take them out. Now do be careful because you don't want to obviously take them out in such a way that you end up throwing them off the roof. And with that, if you now search them, on them should be the Anti-Materiel Rifle. And for the last weapon on this list, you want to go to the Cambridge Crater, and in here we will get our hands on the Quake Thunderbolt, which will be acquired after you take out a couple of NPCs. So when you approach the crater, you should see an explosion to trigger the event. This is basically sort of like an arena match. So you will see this explosion, you then go down, and then a number of NPCs will show up, 3 I think to be specific, and one of them will actually have the weapon on them. So if I just start taking them out, and once you've taken them out, you should be able to just take the Thunderbolt just like that. With the weapons list now complete, now let's start talking about armors, power armor and clothing. And for our first one, we are going to start the quest, the capital Wasteland Mercenaries. And by completing this, you will get your hands on some pretty new gear for yourself. So to do this, you will need to first travel to Leon Pier Parking, and from here, you should be able to see this vertibird and then simply go up to the rooftop. So as I do that, I should see a particular NPC right over here, and if we search this NPC, on them should be, first of all, some outfits that you can take straight off the bat, such as this mercenary helmet and the clothes they were wearing, and you can also get their note as well. Again, you will need to read the note to go forward with the quest. And once you've read Sparrow's note, from here you can board this vertibird to go to the GNR Building Plaza, a location from Fallout 3. Now once you make it to the location, you will be on top of a rooftop and you will eventually make your way through a very linear building, and that will lead you out this door over here. And when you get here, you can take out these NPCs that will have more unique, well, not unique, but gear that is relevant to this DLC. So you can get the Mercenary Adventure outfit and goggles and so on. And you can also get some combat armor variants as well, specifically the Talon Company ones. So there are some Talon Company troops here as well. So if you take them out, from here you can get their Talon Company armor and their Talon Company helmet. So by taking out these NPCs, you will be able to acquire some specific non-power armor variant clothing as part of the Creations bundle. Next, we are going to head to the Super Duper Mart, and we're going to do this so that we can get our hands on the Captain Cosmo armor as well as a unique weapon. So this one does come bundled with a weapon as well as an armor. And when you make it to the Super Duper Mart, you will need to go behind it and you should find a vehicle with the word Hubrix on it. So that should be right over here. And then if you look behind it, there should be a crate here. And if you just go into the crate and you can look at the delivery locations, and then you can just read the delivery locations. And that should then instruct you to go and investigate the TV studio. Now the TV studio itself is actually in the same location as the Noir Penthouse, i.e. the Hub 360. So it's a location that I've already covered. You go into the same location, and as you do that, the quest marker will eventually lead you to here. Now once you make it to the location, you can read this terminal over here for some further information, but that will also progress the quest as well. And before leaving this area, you can make your way towards the end and then take a left over here, and you will be able to grab the unique weapon that comes part of the Captain Cosmo pack. As it then follow the quest markers, eventually that will also lead you to the Captain Cosmo spacesuit, which is just like a normal clothing armor based suit that you can wear that increases your jump height and prevents fall damage. And lastly, again, as you follow the quest markers, eventually it will lead you to the power armor variant of it. So you will also be able to take this power armor again for your own leisure. Next, we are going to grab the Chinese stealth armor, which thankfully there's no quest behind it, and you can find it by simply going to the South Boston military checkpoint. Once you make it to the location, you should be warned that this will probably be guarded by gunners. As you go into the checkpoint itself, just look to your immediate right, and in this green trunk should be the Chinese armor at the very bottom. Now, if you've not used the Chinese stealth armor, this is a pretty nice armor. It's certainly one of my own personal favorites, especially because it has a level of link to Fallout 3. I won't go into too much detail here, but the coolness of it is that the moment you go into sneak mode, you also activate a stealth. And unlike other stealth items, say such as a chameleon legendary piece, when you activate stealth, if you move, it sort of deactivates it. If you're wearing the Chinese armor, it doesn't deactivate. It remains permanently active as long as you're sneaking around. Next, we are going to grab a number of designed t-shirts, and I think there are 25 in total, called the Graphic T-shirt Pack, and we will find a good collection of them inside Hubris Comics. When you make it to Hubris Comics, just go straight and then look to your left for a door, and I think this will be unlocked with a novice lock, and inside here there should be a crate, and in the crate you will find a number of these t-shirts, all very nicely designed. So if we just take a quick look at a handful of them. So there is one for the Outstandingly Awesome comic series, and if we have a look, there are others for Grognak and so on. I won't go through every single one, but this is a good starting point to find some of them. You will also find random settlers showing up wearing other t-shirts, and you can also purchase more of these t-shirts from vendors that typically sell clothing, such as those in Diamond City. Next, we are going to get our hands on the Doom Classic Marine Armor, which is found inside Dunwich Borers. So once you've made it to Dunwich Borers, you will actually need to enter the mines itself. So let me just sort of go straight down, and from here you should be able to enter the mines right over here. When you enter the mines, the armor itself is actually found on a fallen NPC, which should be right over here. So if you search them, on them should be the marine helmet, and you should also find the armor. Next, we are going to grab the horse power armor. This is a power armor that's somewhat inspired by the design of a horse, and to get this you need to go to the Wilson's Automatoys Corporate HQ. Again, thankfully you don't need to do a quest. As soon as you enter the building, just make a left here and go through this door right over here, and as you do that you should be greeted by the horse armor right here that has a fusion core and all the relevant bits to it, and you should just be able to simply take it from here. Next, we are going to grab a clothing armor called Morgan's Spacesuit, and it can be found in the lobby inside ArcJet Systems. Once inside, you simply need to go to the very back of the lobby, and right here should be Morgan's Spacesuit. Next, we are going to grab the Tunnel Snake's Ruled Jacket and the classic 10mm weapon from Fallout 3, and it is found in an unmarked location that is just west of Hangman's Alley. So Hangman's Alley is just around the corner from there, so let me show you for reference. So it's right over there. So from here, travel roughly southwest, and you want to enter this station entrance right over here. Once you enter the station, you will need to make a left over here, and you're looking for some access tunnels which isn't too far from the entrance right over here. Once inside, the quest marker will eventually lead you to this bit here, Tunnel Snake's Rule. Again, it's very linear, but if you just follow this tunnel all the way to the very end, you should find a fallen ghoul, and he will be wearing the Tunnel Snake's jacket. So if you just take the snake's jacket off him, and next to him you will also find the classic 10mm pistol from Fallout 3. Next, we are going to collect the Fantasy Heroes set, which is basically the iron helmet and iron sword from Skyrim, and to do this you will need to go to the Hubris comics. Now ideally, when visiting this location, make sure you grab the space armor suit, because you will need to have a jetpack to make a particular jump. So when inside Hubris Comics, make your way to the very top floor and then use this ladder to access the roof. Once you make it to the rooftop, you will need to jump down and read that note over there, and then you will need to make the jump way over there, and this is why we needed power armor. So if I just jump to this top over here first, just to make my jumping a bit more easier, and from here you will need to jump way over there to the rooftop right here. From here you can now take the throne room key, and you can take the notes as well, but we don't really need to read it. Once we get the key, you can now just jump straight back down this way, and as you do that you can then enter this building over here. You can then use the key on this door, and in fact let me just exit the power armor because it's going to be a little bit more easier to see. If you now go into this room, you should see the steel sword, and if you close the door, you should find the helmet right here as well. For our next set of items, we will need to go to the Boston Bugle building, and in here we will end up getting the Pint-Sized Slasher's clothing and weapon. So make your way to the Boston Bugle building. When you make it inside the building and make it to the top floor, there will be a protector on here that you probably should take out for your own safety. And once you've done that, if you then go to this terminal here called Larry's Terminal, and then you read the journal entries, and in particular you read the one on the Monsignor Plaza, this should start the quest A Pint-Sized Problem, and this will prompt you to go and visit a bookstore within the plaza. You will eventually find yourself making your way to Monsignor Plaza, and when you're inside this plaza from here, just head into this area here, and you will need to find 3 clues. The first clue is right here on the floor, which is a subway token, so you need to take the token. The next clue is right here in this display case, and the final clue is right underneath this bugle poster, which is this note over here. And after getting all 3 clues, that will now take you to the Pint-Sized Slasher. After following the quest markers, it will lead you to this tunnel and this doghouse, and you will need to read this note, and when you read this note it will say behind you, and then when you look behind you, you should see the Pint-Sized Slasher. So you will need to take them out, and as soon as you do, you should be able to take the items from them. Now be careful, they do jump around, teleport around, but they shouldn't pose too much of an issue. Once you have taken them out, you can take from them the Slasher knife and the Slasher costume. And for our last set of unique armor, power armor, etc., you will need to make your way to Hyde Park, And for this, we are going to grab some Gunners versus Minutemen unique outfits. So when you make it to Hyde Park, you should be able to see the church. So Hyde Park is right over there, and this is where you want to enter. So enter the church, and then you will need to make your way to the very top of the church. When you make it to the top of the church, you should find a NPC, a Minuteman to be specific, called Numas. And if you look to the right, you will see their note, and that will start the quest War Paint. But before leaving, make sure you take this unique laser musket as well. Once you make it to the location, if you search again another fallen Minutemen and take their power armor designs, you will now have access to this power armor that has a handful of gunner unique paints on it. So if we craft, then we can see, so let's just go to the torso because it's a little bit easier. We can see there's some gunner paints on it. And now additionally, because of the fact that we just picked up the power armor paints from the NPC, you now additionally have some additional painting for the Minutemen as well. Now you can go ahead and carry on the quest, but as far as power armor paints go, this is pretty much it. Now we are going to take a look at all the new items that have been added. So thus far, we've looked at items that have pre-existed for many years, but these particular items are all new. So let's jump straight in. The first thing we're going to look at are the new Institute plasma weapons. And to get your hands on these 3 different weapons, you will first need to make your way to the Parkview apartments. Now, once you've made it to the apartments, you just simply need to go inside the building right over here into the Parkview lounge. Once inside, look to your right and you will see an elevator. Just press the button and take the elevator to the top floor. After exiting the elevator, just go straight, so head north and then look to your left. You should see a bunch of stairs. Make your way to the top floor, and when you do that, if you then look to your right, so over here should be a room, and inside this room should be an NPC called, I believe, Eyeball. Just take out the NPC and they will drop the first new Institute plasma pistol. So you can take this weapon if you like. The bit that we are interested in is the safe key, Eyeball's note, and the mysterious token. Once you have Eyeball's note, you will need to read that note. After reading Eyeball's note, you can now examine the safe, and inside you will find an unmarked holotape. You will need to read the contents of the unmarked holotape. After reading the unmarked locations holotape, this will send you in front of Diamond City, where you will need to place the token inside this bowl. As a result, you will now need to go and meet a dealer at Cambridge Diner. You will find Cambridge Campus Diner just directly east of the Cambridge Police Station. And naturally, once you've made it, go inside. Once inside, look for the dealer that should be sitting on one of the benches, and you can take them out, but I would suggest that you don't do that because you can use this person as a vendor to purchase, first of all, a number of pretty good things, including these 3 weapon variants. So you can get, for instance, the blaster, which is a heavy weapon minigun variant of the unique plasma weapons. You can get the pistol and you can get the rifle. So you can get the 3 normal variant weapons from this vendor, including other, let's just say, weapons and ammo. Now, if you do decide to take him out, you won't get access to those, but what you can do instead is, again, talk to him and then select the what's new option. And if you do that, he will give you a note called Radar Problems. So let's read that note. When you read the Radar Notes problem, this will now give you a quest to go and track down 3, let's just call them mercenaries. And these 3 mercenaries or targets will actually contain unique variants of these weapons. The first one can be found in Beantown Brewery. And once you make it inside, you will need to take out this NPC over here. And if you then grab the weapon, this will be a unique variant of the pistol. The next one is found in the Hardware Town. And again, once you find the NPC, take them out, and all of them will be the unique variant of the rifle. And the last one is found in the Roadside Pines Motel, which is directly far south of Fort Hagen. And again, once you've located the NPC, simply take them out, and on them should be the Phoenix version of it, or rather the Blaster version. Next, we are going to get our hands on the new weapon, an iron gun. And to get this weapon, you will need to visit Cleo in Good Neighbor. Specifically, you don't need to actually talk to Cleo, you want to get this Vault-Tec business card and you want to read this grizzled wastelander's note. Doing so will start the quest Workplace Safety, and from here you will now need to travel to the location that will be marked on your map. The particular location that this will take you to is the Vault-Tec Regional HQ, and it is directly west of Goodneighbor. So again, go inside. Now once you make it inside, this whole particular quest will take you to numerous points within this same location. The first bit it will take you to is right over here to actually pick up a broken version of the iron gun. And then you can read this terminal right over here to learn a little bit more about what actually happened. So again, we'll just sort of skip it just in the interest of making this video a little bit more specific and a little bit more shorter. Once you've done that, you will find out that this gun actually has a number of broken parts, or let's just call them spare parts. And you will now be asked to go and collect these spare parts, but it won't be as simple. You will need to go and read other terminals and other notes within this same building. So once you've done all of that, again, collecting all of these parts and reading all the terminals and notes are all within this one same location. Once you have done all of that, you will be equipped with the schematics for the weapon, the spare parts for the weapon, and the next thing you will need to do is take all of that to a workbench where you will be able to craft the weapon in its entirety. So once you have everything, when you go to the weapons workbench and you try and find the broken gun, you can then go into the broken receiver and then attach the standard receiver, and with that the weapon is more or less complete. You can then, after you've attached the standard receiver, you can then change all the other relevant weapon components as you wish. Next, we are going to complete the Bunker Home questline that will eventually unlock a new player home, and this has been added as a new player home as part of the creations bundle. To do this, you will need to revisit the Boston Bugle building. Once you make it, go inside. Once inside, use the elevator to go to the floor above, and once you make it to the top floor, if you go to the desk on the very far place away from where you've entered, you should see this note, and as you approach the desk, you should start a new quest called A Home for the Family. So you can pick up this note, and then if you access this terminal and just read all the logs just to make it a little bit more quicker, this should lead you to 3 locations, and as part of these locations you will now need to look for some clues, and eventually when you complete all of that, that will lead you to the hidden bunker. So let's carry on with that. So as said, these clues are scattered across 3 different locations. One is found in the Vault-Tec Regional HQ, one is found in an unmarked location right over here on the very top right hand corner of the map, and the last one is found sort of in the central area of the map, just slightly west of the Farline Hill Estates, and we're going to go through each one in order. The first location we are going to go to is the one that was directly west of the Farline Hills Estate, and it's this building over here. Once inside, we will need to go and look for this clue. Now thankfully, it's actually marked with a quest marker, so it shouldn't be too difficult to find. So if you are having any issues, you can just follow exactly the path that I'm going through. But in short, you will need to come down through the pathway I showed here, the stairway, and then open this bunker door. And when the bunker door opens, which will probably take a couple of seconds, then we should be able to go inside. So once that's open, just go straight and you should be able to open this door over here. And then when you get to this location, I believe you can just go down this way and you can jump down over here and then carry on going through this door over here. And as you carry on, then actually, that's not entirely true. We need to backtrack a little bit. I've jumped the gun there a little bit. The note is actually right over here. So if you open these doors and then go into the room right next to it, you can get the first clue. With that, you now have the option to activate the workshop in this area. So the workshop is where I was actually going. So if we just retrace our steps and go through this door and then go down this set of stairs, you will actually encounter a glowing one as well that you will need to take out. You won't be able to really activate it or complete this portion of it. So let me just quickly take these ghouls out really quickly. So if I just take this one out and then this one over here, and then there's one right behind this door here, not a particularly sightful one, but let's quickly take this one out. And after you've done that, if you then activate the workshop, then you would have basically completed one of 3 of these clues. Now, after completing it, I wasn't really able to build anything, but I suppose, given that you've cleared the whole area out, you can potentially use this as a player home for yourself. But with that, now let's go to the second location. So the second location is in Vault-Tec, as previously mentioned. Again, just go inside. Once inside, we need to make our way to the top over here. So to do that, you can just follow this path again. So you head north and then use this room over here to make your way to the top. And again, if we just carry on and go around the corner, when you get to the first floor, sort of follow south around this corner and then look to your left and you should see a set of stairs. Take this to the top and then you should be on the same floor where the note is. If you then go through here, you should be able to access this key card and this note. Now you will just need to, on the same floor, just go around over there, just past this pool table, and you should be able to use the key card to open this area. Once you've done that, you can use the elevator. And as you exit the elevator, you will realize that this bunker looks a lot more like a vault entrance. So again, you can use your Pip-Boy to access this particular bunker/vault. And once you gain access, so I'm just going to skip a little bit, just jump straight ahead, you will find the note right over here. And that will give you the second note. And now this will tell you will need to go find Camilla. So that's something we can do. But whilst you are here, you can also activate the workshop that should be just around the corner from over here, or rather locate Camilla. So that's her over here. You can take the Vault-Tec Showcase keycard from her for later, and we can take another note over here. And with that, now we can activate the workshop, which should be, I believe we passed it on our way here. Yes, just over here. After activating the workshop, again, you can use this area now as another additional player home. Again, I wasn't able to modify things for the most part, but you can still use it as a player home as you wish. Now we are going to visit the third and final area before the final unveiling of the actual bunker itself. So this last location is located on the very top right hand corner of the map, and it will look like a cave entrance. Again, once you've made it inside, simply go inside and the note should be actually just here, quite conveniently placed for you. And then you should be able to activate the workshop, which is just around the corner over here. So that should be just over here. And again, this is basically part of the bunker. So in this particular one, I believe I was able to build things. So I think this is meant to be the actual bunker that you can access as a player home. Again, it's pretty cool. I won't go into it too much. I'll allow you to discover it for yourself, but this is a rather nice place. Now that you actually have visited all 3 locations and you found all the relevant notes, you should now have everything you need to access the actual end goal bunker, which is very conveniently placed in Concord. So to actually access the bunker, you need to make your way to Concord and follow this path into this house over here. Once inside, the key card that we collected, you can use this to activate the pad, and then you will need to enter a code, and the code you want to enter is 435, and with that, bookshelf should open, and then you can go inside. Once inside, you will find some further NPCs that you will need to take out. So let me just take them out really quickly, and with that, you will then be asked to activate the workshop, which is right over here. And once you've done that, then you will have completed, I believe, this portion of the entire DLC, and you would have gained access to the bunker, which is actually this bit here. But as a result of completing this whole thing, you gain access to a number of player homes, some that I wasn't able to edit and some that I was able to modify, but that's basically the bulk of it. Next, I will show you how you can recruit the Cyber Dog, which is a dog that I've already shown you sort of by modifying Dogmeat's appearance. But this is how you can get your hands on the Cyber Dog. To get your hands on him, you will need to travel to the Nahant Oceanological Society, which is directly southeast of Shroud Manor. So again, once you've made it to the building, go inside. Once inside, you will need to go east and go east again, or you can just use this hole in the wall and then look to your left, and you want to read this here, Karishma's research logs. After gaining access to the logs, select the third option, and this should update the quest unlock a new quest called All Bite. From here, you will now need to go and unlock a save. And to do that, we will first need to exit this area, but it's not too far from here. So from the Oceanological Society building, which is just over there, you will need to travel roughly northwest into this building over here, where again we will find the safe. And inside the safe, we will find a key. So if you just enter the building, and I believe the safe was on the top floor. So I'll just make my way to the top floor and it should be right over here. Now the safe's obviously unlocked with a master lock. If you can unlock it, you can do that. Or you can try and use the terminal instead to just unlock the safe. But you will need to have a hack level of 3 at least to be able to do that. Now, if you just go to the safe and take the boat key, once you've taken the key, if you just jump straight into this white boat over here, you will be able to use the key to travel to a new location on the map. Once you get to this new location, you will see that is really resembling an arena/junkyard, and you will, for the most part, need to fight your way through. So as you make your way through, you are basically trying to go to that bit of the junkyard itself. So we will just quickly run right over there, and as you do that, we are specifically looking for a radar that will have a key on them. So I believe it is this radar here, so let me take them out anyway. But I suppose the first thing we should do is actually read the terminal, so we'll do that really quickly. So again, just read the terminal, and once you've read the terminal, then investigate, flee, and get the boxcar key from them. And then you will be able to use the key on this box car over there. So again, I'll just take off this radar that is just there. Open the key, and or rather using the key, open the box car, and inside you will find Cyberdog. Now you will not be able to recruit Cyberdog not until you have taken out everyone here. The moment you open Cyberdog's cage, a Deathclaw will spawn as well. So again, you'll need to take out the Deathclaw as well. But the short story is you will need to take out every living creature here with the exception of yourself and Cyberdog, and then you will be able to recruit Cyberdog as your new companion. And yes, you can take Cyberdog along with you as opposed to Dogmeat. Next, we are going to take a look at recruiting a Brahmin that has some armor. So as opposed to recruiting Brahmins normally that you can get via Kelly, an NPC, and if you want to know a little bit more about Kelly, let me know in the comments below. But Kelly is an NPC that you can use to get Brahmins, but this particular add-on gives you a Brahmin that will have its own armor. And to get your hands on this Brahmin, you will need to make your way to Easy City Downs. So once you've made it to this place, there's an NPC that's sort of sitting around. Well, there probably won't be when you actually approach it. I just happen to be using console commands to nullify them. But the NPC in question that you want to take out is this NPC over here called Cowbell, and on them they will have the Brahmin fence key. If you then use the Brahmin fence key right over here, this is the Brahmin that I was talking about that happens to have some pretty unique armor. You will be able to recruit them directly into a settlement. Now you won't be able to recruit them as a companion. That probably would have been quite cool, but you will be able to send them to one of your settlements. But you won't be able to do that if there are any enemies around. So if there are any enemies around, you will need to take them out first, and once you've done that, you will be able to recruit the Brahmin into your settlement. Next, we are going to take a look at the new repurposed power armor helmets that can be worn without a power armor frame or any other power armor parts. And I did manage to find one in Big John's Salvage. So once you make it to Big John's Salvage, you really want to make it to that trailer right there on the very top. So I'll see you in just a moment once I've made it there, but I did find one of these power armor helmets right over there. So once you make it to the top, if you just enter the trailer and look to your right, you should find one right here sitting on the table. And if you then go into your apparel, you should just be able to equip it without the need for any power armor frame or any other power armor. It does look a little bit odd. It makes you, well, I think it makes you look like a bobblehead because your head appears to be a little bit bigger than your body, but this was the only one that I managed to find. If you happen to know the locations of any of the others, then please feel free to share them in the comments below. Next, we are going to head to the Overland Station to start the Sea Scavengers new content as part of the creation bundle. So when you make it to Overland Station, you will find a note here on a door frame called Sea Scavengers, and this will start the quest Lost at Sea. By reading that note, it will eventually lead you to an unmarked location that is just south of the mass fusion disposal site to this cabin over here. And when you go inside this cabin, you should see an NPC and you will be able to get one of the first unique outfits from this. The moment you grab it, this will cause this NPC to disintegrate and some new ones to spawn directly outside. You will need to take all of them out, and one particular one will have a note on them, a log entry I believe. So that over there called Dr. Valerian's Survey Logs number 7. Once you grab it off them, you will need to play that log to allow you to go to the next part of the quest. After reading the number 7 log entry, that will take you to this location over here, a forgotten church, which is essentially southwest of the last location that we were just in. Once you make it to the church, you will need to enter the church, and as you do that, the first thing you probably want to do is go to this desk over here where you will find a new weapon, a 12.7mm submachine gun with some handy ammo right over here. Once you've grabbed that, if you then make your way to the top, you will find another holotape, log number 9. And again, you will need to listen to it rather quickly. So let's just quickly do that. And after you have, read the logs, rather listening to them, they are both text logs. Just use this fallen tree to exit the church. But again, as you do that, more of these creatures will spawn right outside the church, plus a Deathclaw. So let's just take them out really quickly. After you've taken them out, one of these sea scavengers will have log number 10 on them. And something I should have mentioned is that these scavengers will actually have some of these new outfits on them as well. So make sure you collect that from them as well. So let's take log number 10. And again, quickly, let's just give that a quick read. And reading that will now ask you to pick up a signal that will send you to a location. But I'll make it easy for you and just show you where that location is. It will send you to a location that is directly west of the vertebrate wreckage. So you're still within the glowing sea. So for context, the last location we were in was right here, the Forgotten Church. This unmarked location is just here, about southwest of the Forgotten Church, or directly north of the cave. And you know you're in the right area when you see this thing here. It sort of looks like the top of a super duper mart. So hopefully that will help you locate it. Anyway, once you've actually made it to the location, you will need to use the elevator to go down. Once you make it down, you will need to then take out some more NPCs, and this time, as opposed to a log file, you're now looking for a terminal password. So just take them all out one by one, and as you do that, search for the one that's got the password. So I'll see you in just a moment once I've found it myself. After you've found the one that has the terminal password, take the password and then simply go back up the lift where we sort of entered the lift. Once back outside, look to your northwest and you want to enter a blue door that just sort of under this staircase right over here, and this is where we will use that terminal password. So the password can be used on a terminal just over there. So as you enter the area, you won't be able to go to your right immediately, so you'll have to go all the way around to do this, but the terminal should be right over there. So again, use the password on it to access the terminal, and then just go to the gate controls and open the door. And once you do that, to your immediate left, they should open the gate. Over here, you will find another notes. So take the notes and again, read the notes. And with that, you will get another password to another terminal. Now, again, before going, make sure you search for this sea scavenger who will have a unique variant of the 12.7mm machine gun. So with that, now that we have the terminal password, let's just go outside. But something to note, at this point, by now, you probably would have collected a number of these new sea scavenger uniforms. Once back outside, we will now make our way back to the top, which is just here, and this time we will be able to use that password on this console terminal to go to the repeater of Fire Chief entries, and I believe it was this entry here that you needed to select. And now we can go and actually try and defeat, let's just call it the boss. So to do that, take this elevator back down. Now once down, the last NPC that you will need to take out to complete this quest should be right over here. So that's over them. So let me just quickly try and take them out. And once you take them out, on them will be another terminal password, but they will also have a hazmat suit. Again, another unique offering as part of this DLC content. And with that, you can now go back up to the top to try and deactivate the radio signal. And if you just simply go to the terminal and try and deactivate it, then you should now complete the Lost at Sea questline. For the last bit of new content, specifically part of the Creations bundle, I will now show you how to activate and complete the Railroad's Clandestine Couture quest. And to start this quest, you will need to make your way to the Riviera Beach station. It is directly far west of Shroud Manor. So once you make it to this location, the first bit you will need to do is actually collect this note over here called Agent's Instructions. And once you do that, you now need to go and locate a dead drop. Now this can be quite confusing to find, so I'll try my best to show you where it actually is. You will need to enter this building over here and then just make your way to the top. And as you do that, if you look to your left, you will see pinball machine, and in the pinball machine right here will be a key. You will need to take this key back down, and as you do that, over here under this green trash can should actually be a suitcase that is locked using that key. You can now open the suitcase, and inside you will find a unique outfit called the Sharp Railroad Smuggler, and you will find some other unique gear or new gear as part of this whole DLC. You will also find a pretty interesting information in here. As a result of opening the suitcase, you will get some dead drop instructions. So let's go and read that really quickly. And once you've read the instructions, this will instruct you to now go to the third rail, which is in Good Neighbor. Once you make it to Good Neighbor, you will need to speak to this drifter over here. However, speaking to them won't actually do anything. You will need to put on one of the costumes that you've just picked up from that green suitcase. So if you go into your apparel, you will need to wear the Daredevil variant of it, which is, I believe, this one over here. And then if you speak to her, select the "You're lucky I got here." And with that, she will give you some delivery package instructions. Again, another bit that you will need to read. After reading the instructions, you will now need to go and pick up the quote-unquote package. Now, I'm going to assume that you have done some railroad quests in the past, but packages usually refer to someone that needs your help from the railroad specifically. We will need to enter this church, but this particular church we can't enter through the front door because it is locked, so we will instead use this door over here. Now, if you're not sure where this location is, because I didn't actually mention it, it's in Jamaica Plain. So once you make it to Jamaica Plain, enter this red house through this door and then use this stairs to go to the top, and then you will need to use this stair to go to the floor above, and then use this plank to go straight into the church. And from here you can just jump straight down and then speak to this NPC over here, and then you will need to escort them to a location which is University Point. And once you've actually followed them all the way into University Point, they will lead you to this area where you will be able to rescue this NPC here called Dodger. And then as a result, that should complete the dead drop. So if we quickly review, we did get a fair few items from this particular DLC pack. Now, one issue I found that I probably should have mentioned at the beginning actually is this particular Railroad Maverick Grey suit. If you take this, for whatever reason, again, I don't know, this still appears to be treated as a quest item. So if I try and remove this from my inventory, it doesn't actually get removed. So for instance, I can remove this, but if I try and remove this, it says this is marked as a quest item. So I'm not entirely sure if you can do this quest without having this. Obviously, we didn't need to wear this when we spoke to the drifter in the third rail. So perhaps you don't want to pick this one up, but it's just something to take a note of. And with that, that's pretty much all the new stuff that's been added as part of the Creations bundle. And now finally we come to the others section of this guide, where I only have two more things to talk about, and they didn't really naturally fit in with any of the other things, or perhaps they could have, but I'll just go through them really quickly now. The first are the modular military backpacks. Now, the DLC does state that a new one should be deposited straight into your inventory upon installation. That didn't happen in my case, but that isn't really an issue because you can purchase some straight here from Arturo in Diamond City, and chances are you will randomly find them on other NPCs anyway. So when visiting Arturo, just go into the barter section and then go into apparels, and he should have some backpacks in some flavor. So there you go, he happens to have a military backpack that you can just purchase. A backpack on its own, when equipped, will increase your carry weight by 75. That's pretty generous when you think about it, especially if you play on survival mode, but you can further increase that by using an armor's workbench. So for instance, if you go into something like gear add-ons, then you can increase, for instance over here, you could increase the action points or explosive damage and so on. Or if you get something like extra bags, then you can increase the carry weight of this. So if you were to install the extra bags, then this will increase the carry weight from 75 to 120, which again is very generous. And again, if you go in, there are other things you can do. Some are just sort of cosmetic changes, but some do actually add some pretty useful things, such as increasing your charisma, etc. Now, some changes are just sort of cosmetic, but some do have a functional change within the backpack. As already said, installing the extra bags increases the carrying capacity of this from 75 to a whopping 120. And you can also do other things as well, such as increasing your charisma, endurance, resistance to certain types of damages, etc. And at this point, I probably should say that the backpack, compared to all the other items that I've gone through in this rather long guide, really fits in with the lore. And for the last one in this guide, we are going to take a look at getting yourself a Sentinel Control System companion. It is a companion that you can recruit that is basically a power armor frame powered by AI, or in other words, it's an empty power armor suit that will follow you around. To get your hands on this, you will need to go to the Super Duper Mart, and from there just travel west until you get to an unmarked location where you will find 2 of these Sentinel power armor users that will basically attack you on sight. So once you make it there, these are the 2 users that you will find. They'll attack you on sight, so I am just going to quickly take them out. As a result, this will also start the Malevolent Malfunction quest line. So again, let me just quickly take them out right over here. Next, you will need to take the holotapes from 2 actual power armor users that are right over here. One being Vasquez and the other being right over here where they are Maria. So listen to both of those tapes really quickly, and you will also need to search the 2 sentinels that you took down, and from them you will need to listen to their sentinel system log, or rather read the sentinel log entries. So read both of them, and once you've done that, this will now instruct you to go to a propane station, which isn't too far from here. The station itself is in an unmarked location that is directly west of ArcJet Systems. So it's going to be rather difficult to make out, but there is ArcJet Systems right over there. And from here, if you travel west, then the propane station is right there. Again, this will be marked with a quest marker, so it's going to be more or less difficult for you to miss it even accidentally. So once you make it to the station, you will need to go inside, and inside will be an NPC waiting for you called Dawson. Again, you will need to take them out. So let's just take out Dawson really quickly. And once you've done that, you can get a lucky leather chest piece, although that might be different for you. And you can get the footlocker key. Once you get the footlocker key, use that key to unlock the footlocker. And from here, get the Sentinel program mission report and get his holotape as well. Now let's listen to his holotape, or rather let's read his holotape. So after reading the patrol part of his holotape, you can now go to this Sentinel armor over here and press the hack button on it, and then select the activate. And with that, this has now become basically an empty power armor frame. So let me show you what I mean by that. If I access their storage and simply take away their armor, then now they will follow you around as an empty frame, and you can give them any power armor pieces that you want. Another neat bonus to getting this Sentinel power armor is that you can have them as an additional companion to someone else you already have. So for instance, right now I'm in the Glowing Sea, I have Dogmeat with me, and I have the Sentinel power armor with me as well. So this is another incentive for you to actually get this power armor to have that extra backup firepower. thank you so much for making it this far into the guide, and if you enjoyed it, then please make sure to press the like button, as that really helps the channel out, and leave a comment in the comment section of this video sharing your thoughts on the video. And given that you have made it this far, click on the video you see on the screen right now, as I think you will enjoy watching this one too. Hi, I'm Mo, and I'm still trapped in Fallout.